one of our plans in future is to not just be a platform that helps to develop, we would also be able to develop our own proprietary AI models, which means that we can license the AI models, directly from our platform. So this kind of opens up unlocks a new market for us, so we can sell directly to the hospitals. But I think for Japan, we need to build a lot of credibility first.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 65 of Colors of Web3 Entrepreneurship. My name is Lum, your Web3 host, a Web3 Entrepreneurship host. So today we're actually stepping away from the Web3 world and just venturing back into the entrepreneurship world. Here today, I'm joined by Joshua Owoyemi. Yeah, he's the CEO and co-founder of Modastera. Joshua, could you give a quick introduction by yourself?
Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. It's a real pleasure to come on your podcast. I'm Joshua. You mentioned starting Modastera in the last 3 months, and before that, I came to Japan almost 10 years now. Yeah, and I did my PhD at Tohoku University for 4 years. Then moved to Tokyo, worked in a company focusing on driverless cars, and then moved to another company. This is where I actually started my journey into biotech, medical diagnosis and things like that. So in the past 4 years, I've been working in a biotech company, doing AI stuff, in the intersection between AI and pharmaceuticals, drug discovery. And now I'm focusing more on medical, diagnosis, using medical imaging, and just more on the healthcare side. So that's where I'm right now. And we just started, and so it's a pretty new experience for me. And I'm really excited to see what comes next.
That's really awesome. Yeah, cool. And I think today it's a bit special of the podcast because we're actually recording in a studio today. But I think many people will actually be curious to know about your background, before maybe you can walk us back from the time you were in college, undergraduate study, and then leading up until now, and how you came to Japan. And
true. It's really hard for me to know where to start from. So I think maybe I'll just tie it up to now that I'm into entrepreneurship. So I remember the first time I ever thought about, creating a business was back in college. I was second year actually at the time. And prior to that, I went to there's this thing in Nigeria called computer college. So you go to secondary school, and then you can go outside of the secondary school and you attend special schools where they teach you about computers. And so I remember in my junior high school, before junior high school, I joined this computer school, and that was when I was introduced into computers. I didn't do any programming. It was just mainly designs, CorelDRAW. I remember using CorelDRAW, Photoshop very early at the time. And then I also learned about assembling computers.
Nice.
So I knew how I could buy an hard disk and with a case and put everything together to make sure it works. So I remember in my second year, I remember thinking that I should be able to start a company or a business, not a company, where I could help people assemble computers.
I see.
And
how old were you back then?
It's maybe second year will be 17, 18.
Wow.
So I didn't start because I told my dad, and my dad said, "No, don't do that right now. I need you to focus on your on your studies. A business, if you're thinking about money, money is going to come later." So that was the argument that he had.
So you wanted to focus on school?
Yeah, I wanted me to focus on just getting good grades. And not really trying to get extra source of income. But actually, I was not thinking about really extra source of income. I was just thinking of trying to do something on the side just to be creative and do things. So that was I think that was my first experience in trying to start something. Actually, I went on to start some other things, which was music. I remember I had a band in the university. A lot of my schoolmates still call me my stage name even up until today. So it's funny to if you hear people call me Joe Sax, that's because I used to play saxophone. So up and have I had that band where we were together for a long time and till my graduation, and then after that, I knew that I would still go into academics. Actually, my dad wanted me to be like in academics, so I went back to do my masters. And after my masters, I didn't. So in Nigeria, health security, like there's a high uh, unemployment. So
Yeah.
even for somebody who has a master's in mechanical engineering, so because I did mechanical engineering, it was still like I still had to stay back a few months before I could get a job. So in between that time, I went to Lagos. Lagos, the biggest city
Yeah.
in Nigeria. I actually went to get a job as a studio engineer.
Really? Yeah.
So I got a job as a studio engineer. The way it happens is funny. I was just like going around. There's this part in people who know Nigeria, Lagos very well, Ikeja and all those areas. So I was walking from one studio to another to ask them if they would have um, you know, a vacancy for a studio engineer because I knew that music was something else I could do. I was doing that all
Yeah.
my early days. So I got to the studio and the woman said, "Oh yeah, and we need a studio engineer." So I was there for like half a year.
Nice.
I recorded an album during that time. I remember
With your band?
no, with my band, I created a new group.
A new group.
Yeah, I recorded a solo album. I still have a copy of that. I was in Japan. I still, those were the memories. And after that, I got a job at the university. So I had to leave the studio. Went back to the university, worked there for 1 year and a few months. Then while doing that, I was really sort of like, I needed to learn more, and I wasn't really confident with my skills. I was actually teaching students, but I still felt like I needed to learn more. So I decided I wanted to go for a PhD.
Yeah.
So that was when I started looking into places, and I was really interested in robotics. Japan was one of the top places you could learn about robotics at.
Actually,
I was looking at this. This is like 2013, 2014. So Japan was like one or number one or number two in robotics in the world. So I applied for this next scholarship, and I got in, and that was how I moved to Japan. And since then, I've been introduced into robotics. Started learning about deep learning, AI, and all.
was that for the master program or whatever program?
For PhD program. PhD, because I already had a master's, right? So I put in for the PhD program. So I was able to get into the PhD program. Even in Japan, I still had to do like 1 year, and they call it research students, so you have to be a research student for a while. So I did a 1 year research studentship, then moved into the PhD, then graduated in 2019. So that's kind of like the earlier days, and tying it also to entrepreneurship. I remember like when I was doing my my PhD.
Yeah.
When I got to Japan, I saw a lot of young people who are very good at programming. I'm like, wow, these guys are really good. What makes them so different, right? So I asked myself this question, and I realized that they've been doing it for like many years before they even came into the university. So I was like, what if we could provide a situation like a platform or opportunity for people back in Nigeria who could start learning programming as early as possible. So I remember starting this non-profit organization called Equip AK School, and I remember trying to raise funds. So that was the first time I actually did fundraising. It was not for profit, but I just had this idea that we wanted to create you know um, computer science classes and um, bring people in, volunteers, to teach, secondary school kids to learn how to program from like maybe 12 or 11. So that was my idea. And we started it back there in my hometown in Akure. And we did it at one school. We provided the computer science, equipment like computers for them. And we also hired like volunteers to be teaching them. But actually we couldn't scale it up. So because we knew that, because one thing that was really scarce at the time was actually getting computer science teachers. It was easy to get any other kind of teacher, but to get a computer science teacher was very difficult. The one person you could get were people who graduated from computer science from the universities, and none of them wants to go back to the secondary school to teach. So
Was it because it was not like profitable or something?
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
You wouldn't want to. You probably would go for it to work with a bank or big companies to be a computer programmer.
So you began this program when you were in the PhD project?
Yeah. 2018. So this was 2018. It was like about a year, 2018. So while I was also doing my PhD, doing other things. So some people can still remember like back then I did a concert. So the music still comes in.
Yeah.
So I organized the concerts to raise money. We raised at the time maybe about $2,000. It was very big. It was not a lot of money, but it was enough to create this environment for the students.
Yeah.
And I just realized that we couldn't scale it up because we couldn't find teachers. And so that moved me to my next entrepreneurship thing that, okay, instead of creating it this way, why not create a platform? It should now be on cloud based platform. So that was when in 2019, 2020, after graduating, so I came back to the idea again, okay, let's create a platform to let people start learning. So that was when I actually created my first real company, D-Dots, back in Nigeria.
Okay.
And I actually bootstrapped this for almost 3 years, 2 years plus, and we were doing, courses for cohort-based courses for people who wants to learn, about programming, business analysis and data analysis. And we actually did product management at one point in time. So as you might, realize, edtech is very, very, it's very difficult. So yeah, I was able to bootstrap it for a while.
So it's like an online.
Yeah, it was an online course, cohort based. So I would hire, like specialists, people who I know directly,
Instructor, right?
who would instruct. So it was like usually like a 12 to 15 week course. So students will sign up for it. And so we would share like the profit with the and the platform take part of it.
Makes sense. So it's kind of similar to Coursera or like
Yeah, well, it was
edX.
Yeah, it was similar to that. But I couldn't scale, and one reason was that every time the student graduated, and that means it's hard for them to come back. So
Yeah.
for a scalable company, you needed a way that they would be able to continue using the service over time.
So maybe like a degree, right?
Yeah, something like that. So once the students finished, that was all. So I would need to start the whole process all over again.
Yeah, you have to find new customer or new student. Yeah.
Yeah, so sort of like, and this was crazy that I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought, so 2022, ChatGPT and all that came. So I thought like, okay, how could we automate this? So I introduced like personalized learning on the platform, but it was not enough to get people still. People were really enthusiastic about this in terms of like they wanted to use it, but once we introduced like payments, the usage dropped. So I felt like this was not maybe gonna scale all along. So from last year, so I actually stopped working on it finally the January last year, was 2024 January. And so that was when I started thinking about, since I'm here in Japan, why not start building something in Japan? So that's what brought me down to actually starting the company in Japan, and Modastera. Now
I see.
got into Antler and got successful, and now we're here.
Cool. Yeah. Actually, I would like to maybe dig deeper in your previous experience a bit. So then, this previous company, where you're like an online course, right?
Yeah.
Building. So were you building it alone, or were you with some other people? Yeah.
So it's another interesting story because before this, I didn't have any knowledge about web development or anything.
Yeah.
So, but I met some guys. First, I actually outsourced it to some guys. They were able to build like an MVP. But I realized that
some of the people in your whole country.
In my own country. And actually, this was way before remote working. I actually outsourced it to people I never met before. I met them online and think like, this is what I want to do, and I agreed to do it. So they were working on it, and we were meeting. But I realized that in order to move fast enough, I had to start doing something by myself. And then one of my friends also came in, was already CTO. But he got really busy, so everybody, we're not really doing anything anymore. So I decided, I need to do this by myself. So I started actually programming, web programming, all that. So that's when I actually got into web programming.
So you learn like JavaScript or something?
Yeah. So I started learning React.
React, okay, yeah, well, most popular framework.
Yeah, I got into the deep end, just started learning React. Nice. Got a template and tried to see how I could change these templates to something. So this was when I was basically doing the whole thing myself. So at the time, I didn't have a co-founder. I had people who were helping in terms of like marketing, search, and the experts that were teaching.
Yeah.
But nobody on the building side. So I was doing all of this work for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, actually, so I mean, it's funny thing, just a maybe side note here. I don't think many people know, but I used to be a school teacher. So I actually, for like a pretty short time, it wasn't that long. I don't think it was really a suitable career for me anyway. But I realized like creating the curriculum to set it up, right? I mean, for someone to even come up with even a month of material to teach, it's pretty long. And then you were saying like 10 to 12 weeks, right? I imagine that it's really hard actually.
Yeah. Come up with. But I think the problem was not creating this things because I had people who were really good at it.
Ready for it.
But yeah, but the problem was actually having to restart the process.
Yeah, the cycle, right?
Yeah.
The sale funnel cycle.
Every single time, every quarter we have to do it. Yeah, and so it was not like sustainable in a way. And maybe to learn a lot about working with people, leading the team across time zones. At the time we were like Nigeria, London, Japan, and all the like 4 time zones that we were trying to work together. So I had a good experience, working with the but the problem itself was not, it was not something that could scale. So yeah.
I see. So what were some of the lesson or takeaway that you learned from that entrepreneurship experience?
Yeah, I mean, like for that particular case, I just know a lot about Edtech on film. So I mean, I understood that when you're selling something, you have to know who is paying. So that is one thing I tell people about Edtech. People ask me to about Edtech. Usually, the people paying for the service in Edtech are not the people who need the service. So imagine, I don't know if you have a kid, but for people who have a kid,
Don't have a kid.
yeah, the kid is the one getting the education.
Well, that's true. Yeah, the kid.
But the parent is the one paying for it.
Yeah.
So, of course, but
your online course was for like young.
Yeah, we don't buy a young house.
So they have money. Yeah.
They have money. Of course, also the market was also important. Like Nigeria, the buying power was not that great.
That's true.
Actually, I think we had a good product in terms of like, for example, like for a single student, they were paying like $300 for
3 months.
3 months.
That's
So I think if we had
really good. I think.
Yeah, if we had like if we had like the size and the frequency, they have really good business. But it's just that they all churn every 4 months. So and another thing was that we couldn't do multiple courses every month. So you have to because we are selling the time of the specialists.
Yeah.
For this money. So a court has to wait until a new court starts. We tried some things, but it couldn't really.
Yeah.
Well, because the specialists had finite time, so they couldn't add spend more time. So that was part of the things that I learned. So basically, about the industry, about the buying power of the people, like in Nigeria. Well, I said like students pay like $300. Actually, people who paid were Nigerians who are not living in Nigeria.
Really?
So they were Nigerians who are living abroad. So for them, it was cheap enough to pay, but it was not expensive. It was still in some ways, it was expensive for people actually living, like people who were living in Nigeria or Eden. It was too expensive, to justify the cost. So we found a niche, kind of a very thin slice of people who need that service. But
it's like foreign Nigerian instead.
So that was this. It was a very nice experience. But yeah. I learned a lot about it.
I see. Yeah, but I'm sure we always like walk away with any of those like entrepreneurship. You always learn some lesson, right?
Yeah.
Nale will take it on. So I mean, you also said you began a band. Were you like a saxophone player? Were you famous in Nigeria back then?
No, I wasn't famous in Nigeria, but at least in my school set. Yeah. I was known by a handful of people. So to the extent that people feel called me the
with your nickname, right?
health now. So at least my classmates all knew me. And in the school of engineering, because I was in school of engineering, most of the people actually knew. And yeah, I mean, not famous, but just a little bit. Yeah.
I see. Do you record, I don't know, music in your free time now or no?
No.
Okay, no.
Actually, I still have my saxophone. I brought it to really, yes. When I was in the top university in my first year, I still used to practice, but two things that kind of just made me to stop practicing in Japan is like there's no noise rules. So I had to go like if I needed to practice,
You need like a proper studio, right?
I needed a proper studio or I'd go out to a very far place.
Yeah, like middle of nowhere. You have to go to like Inaka. I don't know.
So that made it really difficult for me to practice. And of course, I got really busy with study. So yeah, I wish I could still do it, but no, it's not something I think it was.
I see. Yeah. So your PhD was in, is it robotics engineering?
So my PhD was in at the end I realized it was in system information science.
Okay.
So it's basically software related to computer vision. I did things related to computer vision, 3D computer vision. Also a little bit of robot manipulation. So my thesis was more about using gesture to understanding human gesture or motion through 3D images. So think of like from a camera, but yeah, a camera gives you a 2D image. Yeah, or there are some sensors that actually be like 3D. Like there was at the time, Microsoft Kinect. They are very popular. There was this special camera that Microsoft was selling. Yeah, that you could use it to control games and things like that. So yeah, I was working with a sensor at the time, and I was also working with some companies who were developing like consumer consumer based laser, interactive laser camera. And so I was developing like interactive AI model for those cases. And so I also use that for robot manipulation, a little bit of robot manipulation. So those were like what the things that I did. It was more in the area of actually the core technology was computer vision. So through 3D images or 2D images, and that's what took me to my first company because they were doing the self-driving cars. So I was working in a group where we wanted you wanted to create a software that will allow the car to understand what is happening around the scene understanding. So for example, we want to know if the car is coming, or how far the car is. Maybe a human is crossing the road.
Yeah.
We want to know all of those things. So those were the algorithms I was.
Autonomous driving?
Yeah. Autonomous, right?
Yeah.
So I went there for about a year, 3 months, before moving to the next company.
I see. So after you graduated from the PhD program, you're working in like a autonomous driving program, right?
Exactly.
Here in Japan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Was that a pretty interesting thing? Was it? Do you actually see the future?
Yeah. It was very interesting. I saw many times. Actually, this company has a good technology in terms of like how far it can go. But I think like just like every other company that was in the autonomous, driving at the time, regulations was one problem. It's hard to actually get a regulation to put an autonomous vehicle on the road. Here in Japan, even in Japan at the time, I'm talking about 2019, 2020, right? Late 2019, 2020. It was difficult. Like you would to have an autonomous car drive, Tokyo, you would have to get like permission from the police or, so all of those things were making it difficult. Although there were other cases where you would be able to use it. Maybe there are some companies who wants to have an autonomous cars. They want to do a lot of experiments. And so you could, they could, take the autonomous vehicle and use the autonomous vehicle for those experiments. I wouldn't mention the name of the company, but there a company who was doing a lot of testing with cars, with equipment like car parts. And so usually the human has to drive it. And it's like 6-hour drive every day, like a human has to drive it. So imagine you can replace that human with an autonomous system. So you can still do your test, but without the human driving 6 hours every day. So there is less stress on the human, and of course the human still has to be there to maybe to supervise, but the robots can actually do all of that. So that was one of the applications that we did at the time.
Interesting. Yeah, I feel like for autonomous driving, I was just reading some material about this. Definitely, I'm not an expert here, but I feel like if it's like a game theory thing where if like all the vehicles on the road is autonomous, or like 99%, then it's actually safer.
Yeah.
Because it's predictable, right? Robots can actually kind of,
see. So the example to that, correct to that, is look at like the manufacturing. So most of manufacturing now is like robot, and the reason is that the manufacturing environment is fully controlled, is fully organized. So you can put robots 100% there because robots only have to interact with other robots. So you can plan, you can do all sorts of things. But the problem with is the humans, right? You cannot predict what
always a human. It's clear.
So to put an autonomous vehicle on the road, you need to be able to predict
Exactly
what other players are going to do.
Yeah, but human you cannot predict.
So that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. So I feel like if it's not 95 or a huge percentage of cars on the road, it's like also autonomous, probably not gonna work. So like, interesting. Okay, so you're working at autonomous driving, and then what do you do after that?
So after that, I moved to this company. It was more about like research and development. So
what industry?
It was consulting at the beginning because we were working with a lot of different companies, still autonomous driving, pharmaceuticals, biological, biotech, monitoring of like a manufacturing or like a production line and all of those things. So it was like different, like it was a very wide range of applications. So, but the main thing behind it was like using our AI, like AI models to help in those processes. So this was like the second company I worked with. Somewhere along the line in 2020, during COVID, all the other companies, all the other like clients that we had stopped their projects because COVID and people were not going to office.
Infected, right?
Yeah, so we're affected. And the only company that, the only industry that still kept on working was the pharmaceutical.
Because they had money.
Yeah. They had money, they had also they had the mandates to, develop
Xerox
quickly as much as possible. So this company actually focused more at this time. Either they, die or move all the resources into focusing more on the pharmaceutical industry. So that's actually how I got into pharmaceutical industry.
Nice.
I didn't have any previous chemistry background. My latest chemistry knowledge was back in secondary school, and so I had to decide whether I had to either how to work with people with the pharmaceutical industry or maybe move to another company. So I just took it as a challenge, and it was easier for me because we had people in the company who had that knowledge. So I could lean on them for the knowledge, and I could do my machine learning side of it. So that was, how I got into like the healthcare pharmaceutical.
I see. So you were still in the consulting company, but then you were just focusing on the pharmaceutical sector. Is that correct?
Of course, the company now they're also have like products that have the software products, which is being sold to pharmaceutical companies. But in the beginning, it was more like working on project basis. But now, it's much more bigger than that.
Interesting. And then how did the jump from that to your current company?
Yeah, so I could say that I saw a lot of advances in how I was working with the experts in the pharmaceutical industry. So, of course, AI became very, very popular and people wanted to adopt AI. And it happens that, AI could help in many things. For one example is in the pharmaceutical industry, in the early stage drug discovery process, you can, by deploying some kind of AI models, you can collapse the 3 years of work into just a few months.
Okay. Well, that's so different.
Yeah, that's very significant. So if you can do that, it means that you're saving the pharmaceutical companies like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
If you can come up with a good model,
time is money.
That's a lot of money over there.
Yeah.
So I also thought that they could be the same thing in the like medical healthcare. Where you can use AI. Of course, there's been a lot of interest in using AI. Maybe not the same exactly, but AI could help to accelerate the research and development that is needed for medical diagnosis to help people to attend to more people. And of course, apart from that, the domain expert, the doctors, they are overworked. They have a lot of people to attend to when it comes to chronic disease. They cannot attend to everybody. So if there's a way you can reduce the workload of the doctors so that they can attend to more people, there'll be more healthier people in the country. And also, people can have better lives. So this kind of, flows together, in my opinion.
I see. Yeah. So you're just learning a lot about the industry itself. So I mean, for me in the past, I've done a lot of research and did a couple of the consulting gigs as well, where I had to learn the complete new industry in like 1 or 2 weeks, right? So I guess you saw some of the inefficiency in the healthcare industry, right? And then that's kind of led you to.
Yeah, I mean, it's not it's kind of an open secret, because people say, the doctors are overwhelmed. Everybody says this, and people know that, for example, maybe Japan is not that, severe, but I know about people in Canada, see a GP for a chronic disease, you can wait like 3 months. Yeah. Just because you have to see a doctor, a specialist, So those are really hard. I hear stories about, I have family members in Canada and some friends in Canada, and they'll tell you about this, like, to set up an appointment for teeth, to check your for dentist, maybe surgery for your teeth.
Yeah.
You have to wait a month to do that, and while you're still in pain. So, we all know.
That doesn't make sense, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So there has to be a way to make this better. And the specific case in Japan is that most of the hospitals are not actually making a lot of money.
Yeah.
Because part of it is that the Japanese government subsidizes a lot.
Correct.
Of the healthcare.
Yeah. I think for the viewers that might not know, I think it might be good to give the background. I believe that if we have the national health insurance here, you only pay 30% in cost, right?
So if you have you're enrolled in the national health.
Which is like almost everybody here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of mandatory.
Actually. It is.
Yeah, so you have to pay, only pay some 30% of the cost. And so it means that, the hospitals are not actually there to make money.
Yeah.
In a sense, they're there to help people.
So it's like they focusing on the wrong KPI. Oh, wait.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
The truth is, I don't have, knowledge about this. So far as I know that I've heard this about, I do a lot of interviews with some doctors. I know that, hospitals, they are not actually making money in terms of, so it would make sense to be able to reduce operational, costs such that you can have more, the hospitals cannot raise their prices.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to raise, even though there's inflation and they can raise prices. So the best thing that they can do is find ways to reduce the operational cost, and so that they can have better margins. So this is one easy way at the beginning, but there could be ways we can do it. But those are the things that we're looking at.
When you're saying operational cost, are you talking about like the cost of personnel,
is part of it.
IT,
equipment, tests, and there's so many costs that comes into it, but costs of actually operating and running the hospitals.
Yeah,
those are the things that are really eating more of the profits that comes into the hospitals.
Makes sense. Yeah, cool. I think that's a perfect segue to lead into the current company that you're building, Modastera.
Yeah.
Feel free to share the presentation here. I'll sure to make it up, and maybe also share with us like the background, maybe the original background, how you met your co-founder. I think things like that.
Oh yeah.
And then how you come up with the idea as well. Yeah, it might be interesting for the viewers.
One of the things I didn't talk about is so
Antler.
I joined Antler. So Antler is a global VC. Has many campuses all over the world. And they have one in Japan, and they have several in Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia. And I think now they have 2 in Africa. One Lagos. Yeah. So I got to learn about it last year from a friend.
Yeah.
And I decided I should give it a shot, because I was thinking about, okay, since I am not giving anything for Nigeria anymore, kind of failed. So it's probably going to be easier for me to build in Japan. Okay. And so I started thinking about building in Japan. And so that's when I applied to join the Antler cohort. In October, I was able to join the cohort in October last year. That's the third cohort that I had in Japan.
It's a 3-month program, right?
Yeah, it's 10-week.
10-week, okay. Yeah, roughly 3 months.
Roughly 3 months. So from beginning of October to like the mid-December.
Okay.
So I joined.
Yeah.
And one of the most important things in Antler is finding a co-founder. So I was a solo founder, which means that if I didn't get a co-founder, probably gonna be out in 6 weeks.
Was that the requirement?
Yeah, that was a requirement. So
Okay.
so if you're not gonna be able to find a co-founder, then after 6 weeks you'll be asked to leave the program.
How many people join the cohort?
So this cohort, roughly 70 people.
70, okay.
Yeah, 70.
That's quite a odd number.
Yeah, it was a number.
Yeah.
And I think the Antler pool was the right place to kind of, put people together for a single purpose, right?
Okay.
So you remember, like 2 years prior to that, I've been trying to find a co-founder, people to work with, but I couldn't find because.
Was it difficult?
Yeah, it was. It was like I talked to a lot of founders, and this is one biggest problem a lot of founders have.
Yeah.
To get a co-founder. Of course, you can be a solo founder nowadays with AI and all those things. You can play things by yourself, but to lessen the burden, somebody has to build and somebody has to think about the business.
Do the sales,
Yeah. So, well, of course, if you're a superstar, you can do both by yourself, but
it's pretty tough.
It's very tough. You got to do it. So, so the number one problem founders have when it comes to building their own company is actually finding somebody to work with who would have the same commitment as you.
Yeah.
If you can find somebody who has the same commitment as you, I think you have a good team.
Okay.
So Antler was the right place to do it because everybody had that objective that
I see.
I have to do this within 6 months.
Or to find a co-founder. Okay. And maybe I just want to give a quick background note for the viewers here in the meantime. I think my take on Antler is that they also told me that they're more like the people might be more familiar with like YC, Y Combinator, right? Because the most popular venture back incubators program. So sometimes I think Antler also told me that they're more like the pre-YC. Because in YC you come in, you already come with a team, or you can also come solo, but you don't go there to find founder, right? You come with your team ready to build. And so Antler, they pitch with me you join here, you find founder, and then from there you go to YC. So anyway, that's like
zero vacancy accelerator.
I see.
So it's basically going to Antler is just go with the idea. If you have a good idea, you don't need to have already formed idea. Just have a view to try something out for the first 6 weeks. I think the minimum commitment is just 6 weeks. Okay, so anybody there, try it out. It's just that's the minimum. Just be part of it for 6 weeks and see if you can find somebody that I still work with. If you can do that, then you can go on to the.
So when you joined it, did you have an existing idea?
Yeah, I have an existing idea.
What was your existing idea?
So it came from a previous startup, right?
Okay.
So I should also say that I actually applied to YC at one point.
Okay. That's
with the same idea. Okay. But so towards the end of the online platform that was running. So with the AI, I thought of creating like a personalized learning. Also, basically, what the user would do in this case is they would say, "I want to learn about real estate." So I would just say, "I want to learn about real estate." Before AI agents became very popular, this was AI agents.
Yeah.
Because what we did was, when you say, "I want to learn about real estate," the agent will collect the LLM. People didn't call it agent back then, but that was actually what we were doing. It will collect all the information about real estate, and it will format it in a form of a course, of an handout, like a university level grade handout.
Okay.
So that you can go by yourself, go into the material, and you can start learning by yourself, and it will generate like quizzes and evaluations for you.
Yeah.
So this was what we developed at the time. That this was December 2023, January 2024.
Yeah.
So this was the idea that I had. And I pitched to YC, we didn't get in.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, let's see if we can bring it down to Japan. But actually, I changed the idea in a way because I was already thinking that, okay, healthtech Edtech might not be a good thing. So, so one of the things I learned was I need to talk more to prospective users. So towards like that time, towards August, I started talking to people, and so I felt like, okay, what we can use AI to do now would be helping companies to create. So this is a totally different idea now, but it was kind of based on the knowledge I have with AI agents from my previous startup. So I could basically repurpose that same idea now into this. So if companies wanted to create an app or whatever, you can basically take the Figma file and create a full app from it.
Okay.
So it's like Figma to
Figma to code the site that
not just a code, but a full running app, right? With the backend, with everything.
Yeah.
So this was the idea I pitched to. This is the final idea that I pitched to YCR, to Antler.
I love
The reason it's kind of two ideas is because the idea that I submitted was the previous idea.
Yeah.
The one with the bloody telephone. But between the time that I submitted the idea and the time that I did between the time that I submitted and the time I did the final interview, I changed.
Yeah.
So in my final interview, I actually pitched two ideas.
Okay.
Because the person was expecting me to talk more about the previous idea that I had in my application. So I pitched that idea and I said, actually, I think this idea is not very good so far because based on my past experience, now I'm looking at this new idea. So I pitched two ideas actually.
I see. Yeah. But I think it's quite normal, right? Being a founder to, switch and change your idea, pivot, right? Because if you see if there's no no potential traction, or if it doesn't make sense after, or because usually you form a hypothesis, right? And then you have to try to validate it as fast as possible. So if it doesn't work, then it's time to pivot.
Yeah. So the thing that I did differently at the time was I actually went out to start talking to people.
Okay.
I was connecting to product managers everywhere, like Nathan. I went to join product events.
Really?
People, right? So some people might be quite disappointed right now because when I talk to them, they're like, okay, when you build it, please come back to us. For now, I actually didn't build that product. So I thought a different product right now. So, but the thing was, I would talk to people. I got kind of a validation, and of course, I can say now that in hindsight, it was a good idea because there's so many companies in the same thing right now.
Yeah,
with Novable, with Boats.new, and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the question that might come was, why didn't I do the idea? I think that's the question, and I think that changed in my first week of Antler.
Okay.
And
what happened there?
Yeah. So I came in with this idea, and this is what I wanted to do. So, and the first question, I already did the pitch. I had a good pitch. I think I had a good pitch. So, and the judge. So you would have a pitch, and there will be a partner. One of the judges would ask you questions, feedback. And the first question I got was, why are you the right person to build this product?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, but it's also common. I've seen that.
Yeah. So, and I thought about it. I felt like if I have to be answering this question all the time, then it kind of casts a shadow on whatever idea I have to bring.
Yeah.
Because if people have to ask me why the right person,
then
every other thing that comes after it would be like behind that, like, oh, I don't think he's the right person. So I wanted to eliminate the need for asking that question. So once I start talking, I say, I worked for the last 4 years in biotech. So that I have knowledge to talk about medical, whatever.
Yeah.
Even though it's not the same thing, but you wouldn't ask me that question anymore. So that was why I actually changed the idea, because I never wanted to be asked that question.
Okay.
That why are you the right person?
I see.
The discussion should be more about, tell me more about this idea.
Yeah.
Why are you the right person?
Yeah, it is true. But to be honest, I think if you look at it from the perspective VC, and to be honest, I've talked to a lot of people on my podcast, entrepreneurial VC founders, right? It seems like VC, I think that's a quite typical question because I want to know, like, are you and your team the only one capable of executing this idea? Versus, because it's kind of like a moat if you think about it that way, right? Because if anybody can build it, right, then why are they picking you? Why don't they pick, I don't know, some other people, right? So yeah, so that's kind of like the moat also.
It kind of, after that first week, I actually like really do a soul searching and kind of think really much about what am I really good at.
Yeah.
That people wouldn't ask me that question anymore. So it turns out that in the past 4 years, I've been working in biotech. I've built AI models for pharmaceutical industries. I've published papers, done, gone to conferences to speak about it. So that is no more a question. And that's why I felt really confident to go into the medical, area. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. And then, okay, so obviously after that, you change your idea, right? And then, but how long did it take you to find the co-founder, and what was it? Yeah.
Yeah, it took 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Okay.
4 weeks.
Was there like, I don't know, was there like a matchmaking event in Thailand?
So then, Antler has very nice, at least in the quarter that I worked in, they had very good in system and a lot of activities for you to be able to talk to other people. First of all, there are a lot of matchmaking events, kind of like speed dating, innovating. So I remember there was this first one through the actually. You had like 5 minutes to talk to as many people as possible. Yeah, and we did this. I was able to talk to some people, and I just got to know some people. It was more like an introduction. Yeah, introduction, right? So, but after that, you had more chances to talk to people. You went there every day, so it was like a full-time job, right? So from 10 a.m. you have to be there by 10 a.m. till maybe 6, 7 in the day.
It's like a full-time job. Fair.
Yeah, so it was more like a full-time job. And so you had chance to talk to as many people as possible. So this is one other thing I advise people, if you say you want to be a CEO, that first thing you have to be able to sell is the idea.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, for sure.
You cannot sell the idea and win somebody to your side. Then maybe it's gonna be hard for you to sell.
Exactly.
You agree? So I was more like talking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I didn't talk to everybody, but I talked to most people that I had the people that I actually had a list of people that I was interested in. So I was like,
oh, you could see each other background before?
but exactly, you had this online platform YCFC. So I had a list of people I was interested in. So I was like going to them to talk to them. So it took like 4 months for,
Were you looking more for technical co-founder or business co-founder?
I was just looking for the person that, that our idea would match, was something was matching.
Okay.
So I knew that I could do a bit of the business,
Yeah.
the kind of person that I can do what it takes. I'm ready to take the challenge if I need to. I've done that many times over. So it was not, it was not something that I don't want to do it. So I knew that if I need to sell, I want to sell.
Yeah.
So if that's how the company is going to make it. So if the other person I meet is a business person, good. Of course, I don't have to focus on selling. If the person is a technical person, then it's good because I can now do the sale.
Yeah. Okay. So you're flexible.
Yeah, I was flexible. Yeah. I was pretty kind of intentional. Yeah, in a way. And then the people that I wanted to talk to and trying to bring them to my side. I remember trying to talk to this lady like the first week. And I was like using do you know the series called it's a Spanish series, La Casa de Papel, like
Casa, oh, the House of Cards.
House of Cards. So I was actually using an analogy. Now that I think about it, I think this was pretty cheeky to use that analogy from the House of Cards meme. Yeah. So there's this meme in House of Cards where the professor was in the middle and saying, and that's where you come in. Okay. Yeah. You have like the team was in the in the scene. Some people were on this side and some people were on this side. And the professor was like pointing toward the camera and I think the line there was like, that's where you come in. So I remember telling her that is where you come in. I was trying to tell her that you'll be, help us to sell, but you didn't work sure. So that's one of the funny experiences that I used to remember.
I see. Cool. So yeah, you so after 4 weeks, right, you said you found a co-founder?
Yeah, I found that. I found out. Yeah, my co-founder's name was Tetsuro Mori. So it was a pretty chill guy. Actually, before I got to him, I already saw his profile, and I was really intrigued because he said, "I want to build AI that builds AI."
No, yeah, that'd be AI.
Okay, that sounds good. It's something I want to do also because I wanted to build an AI assistant that helps people to be more productive.
Yeah.
For example, for product managers.
Yeah.
And now in health. So it's our idea kind of aligned that in that sense.
Yeah.
And I, was really trying to learn more about him and talk to him. And so like the fourth week, I was pretty much looking for how to like ask him to join. We were all saying, oh, maybe we'll work together at some point. We were like pushing it forward.
Yeah.
So, but this particular week we had this like a talk from external person.
Okay.
So I wasn't listening to the talk. I was just thinking about the idea I'm gonna pitch. So I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do something health, but how do I talk about it? So I just remember when he said I would just record in my mind, what the turmeric said he wants to be AI for AI. So I was like, okay, how about build AI for AI to how about build an AI to create AI but for health?
Okay.
So I said, okay, that sounds good. So I went to talk to him and said like, okay, I have this idea. How about we build AI for AI or for health? I think that makes sense to him because that was his, idea.
Yeah.
I was interested in using AI for health and he was interested in using AI for just to build AI.
I see.
And so I think in that way, our idea kind of, aligned together. And that was when we started working together on the fourth week. And on through the sixth week, we decided, okay, finally we have to, make this more formal.
Okay, so at that time you come together and would build an MVP some sort, right? For
At that time, it was just the idea.
Oh, just the idea. Okay.
The truth is, I've learned what you need is the idea. A good idea, with a well thought out industry, like
like a vertical.
Yeah, because of industry, something that is large enough that you can get into, and the problem should be severe enough that everyone wants to buy. So if you have a bit of
like a 10x improvement.
if you have a bit of validation in that area, that is it. So just show that I have this idea. I think the industry is the market is this big.
Yeah,
maybe $10 billion or whatever.
Yeah. Or you can research figure that. Yeah.
And you say that, oh, for this particular problem, we know X number of people who have this problem, and they will be able to pay this amount of money. If you can, make that case, then it's that's what Antler actually wants in that year. Then you can now go ahead and start validating, start building, and so at the end of the cohort, we just had like a interactive prototype.
Yeah.
No corner. Yeah. So we're just more of an interactive prototype.
So it's is it would be equivalent of Figma click where you do like a prototype walkthrough click?
Yeah. So that was just the 4 week or 6 weeks. That was when both the new came out. So I felt like, okay, instead of doing Figma, let me just go to prototype directly. Of course, I did Figma, models and things like that, but I thought that was not convincing enough because I wanted people to be able to interact with the
right?
With the MVP, with the prototype.
Yeah. So MVP,
show them and see that you click it and all of that. So it's much more difficult to do that with Figma because, of course, to do interactivity with Figma, but
it's limited.
So let's just write the code. We have the Figma mockup. Just write the code that will show this interactivity. So this is what we did, and we were able to show that in the IC, in the investment committee pitch. Yeah, so like the final pitch.
It's like the graduation day of Antler Japan.
Yeah, it's like the final judgment.
Okay.
Your idea. So you would have like people in your you would have the judges from the local court.
Yeah.
With some judges from maybe Singapore or some other places.
Okay.
To vote on your idea whether they would like to invest or not.
Okay. So does that mean at that point you would get some investment from Antler?
Yeah. So that is a point where they say, okay, we would like to invest. Then from there you would need to keep working.
Yeah.
After that, sign a term sheet. If you have a company,
yeah,
then you can go ahead and sign a term sheet, go through all the due process. So yeah, the company, there's a due process that has to go into it. So after the due process, you sign the term sheet, and after that, you get the money. So for a totally new company, unfortunately in Japan, it takes a long time.
Yeah, it does.
Actually, creating your company, for us, it took us like about a month to get all our paperwork.
Were you doing the typical KK Kabushiki Gaisha?
Yeah,
Okay.
Kabushiki Kaisha. So it took us about a month, and after that, you have to get a bank account.
Yeah,
and take out
a lot, right? With a seal, right? Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so that's why actually I was my co-founder, because it's Japanese, so he did most of the work, paperwork and all of that. But yeah, it's not easy. Like I remember, like I actually incorporated the company in the US. Yeah, my previous company. Interesting. I did it within 3 days.
Yeah, well,
using Stripe Atlas, paid $500.
yeah, we can do it much easier.
In Japan, one of the things we have to deal with here.
Interesting. Okay. But I think, okay, so I think might be good time to, dive into your company that you're building, right? Like what is the idea that you guys are building? What problem are you solving? Yeah, fun. But anyway, yeah, feel free to share with us all of that. Yeah.
So, yeah. So the company is Modastera, and what we're doing right now, we're trying to accelerate research and development for medical diagnosis. This is like our niche focus right now. Eventually, what we want to do is have a platform that would be able to automate medical AI engineering. So think of it as a AWS or what is called a software as a medical device. So any software that would be used as a medical device or medical diagnosis, or any kind of a medical process.
Yeah.
Our platform can be the back end to that would supply the AI for it. And the thing is, from our platform, you can do the model development and deployment. So yeah, this is kind of a profile.
Okay.
I already mentioned, like, our vision is to help the domain experts to work faster, to innovate faster.
So whom are you selling to?
So yeah, so we're selling to health and medical technology companies.
Okay.
So like I mentioned, software as a medical device is kind of a sector now in healthcare, where you use software to provide medical services for people. So for example, hospitals would maybe doctors would need to read a radiology, like an X-ray.
Correct.
And so for X-ray to help, doctors to work faster, we could do some kind of highlighting on that X-ray, such that the doctors can see into the right places.
Okay. So you sell it to hospitals?
So yeah, that's where in the confusion usually. So we don't sell it directly to the hospital. We sell to the companies
that supply to the hospital. Okay. Okay. So what would be an example? Is Johnson or?
Yeah. So like they're companies called medical device manufacturers. So
okay.
And you have Canon, Philips, Olympus. The big companies are there. Of course, we don't have all the big companies right now. We are starting with like medical, startups, healthtech startups.
Yeah.
So most of the people that we're talking to right now are companies that are creating direct to patient applications. So for example, like maybe I'll show before like a company that's using a mobile application to inform patients about the conditions.
Yeah.
So there's this particular company that we work with. You would take a picture of the tongue, and it will give you some diagnosis based on that from your mobile camera.
Okay.
So that's the kind of company we're working with right now.
Yeah.
Or other cases would be like other cases that we've seen is companies that are developing that's hardware for low cost environment. So for example, pregnancy condition prediction from using handheld device.
Yeah.
So from a phone, you can connect hardware to it and do an ultrasound for the pregnant woman in a place where they don't have the big hospitals.
Yeah,
you can do a prediction directly from the mobile phone. So those are the kind of people that we're working with right now.
Okay.
And so yeah, the challenge of adopting AI is the AI cost is a high cost going with it.
Yeah.
From my experience with working in consulting and research and development. A lot of companies want to adopt AI, but they have to outsource to consulting companies.
Yeah.
And usually it's very expensive to do that. Or you have to hire your own in-house people.
Yeah.
In Japan, where the hiring costs like 30% of the yearly salary. So if you're hiring an engineer, let's just say like their salary is like, let's say 10 million.
Yeah.
10 million.
KPY,
Yeah. That means you have to give 3 million to
the recruiting company. Yeah. It's a fee. It's really expensive. Yeah.
the yearly fee. Right? So
Correct.
So just to have an AI team is what we're trying to do is not make so that given the companies the options not to have to do that before starting to develop AI capabilities.
Okay.
And also like the domain experts, they have created solutions. For example, they have to learn how to code. I've seen a lot of developers who are interested in using AI. Say it's hard to learn coding and all of that. And the data preparation is also a problem because to train an AI model, you need data. And if you don't do that properly, then the quality of the model is bad.
Yeah.
So, and it's also very time consuming to do that. So how can we help? So that we are building, so you begin to see some kind of connection with my previous company here.
Yeah.
Where we built this medical AI engineering agent. So this is an engineering agent that will do all this fragmented parts of the medical AI engineering, such as the data management, model development, and evaluation. So basically, you can automate all this process in a single interface.
Yeah.
Using our technology.
So this AI would like learn and improve itself.
Yeah. In a way. Okay. So basically, what you would do is you have a data, and you say I have this data of for X-rays, or CT scanners or MRIs.
Okay.
Upload the data and just tell the AI, I want to train a model that will recognize maybe appendicitis from X-ray. If there's a probability of appendicitis from the X-ray, and the AI would determine the architecture to use, how to pre-process the data to create the model, and it will train the model by itself.
Yeah, I would select the model backup.
Yeah, it will
do all the adjustment.
Exactly. So it will do all the pre-training, and also the optimization that to get the best model, and it will be able to do all of that all by itself.
But how big is a data set you need to give it? Let's say 10,000 CT scan or?
Yeah, so there are many ways to do that. Usually, the bigger the data set, the better. But yeah, of course, we can use pre-trained models. So if you have a very small data set, then the AI can know that, okay, maybe I need to use a pre-trained model in this case. So in this case, you just do a bit of.
So you would just find an open source pre-trained model?
Yeah, there are many very capable open source pre-trained models that can be used as a basis, not the final product. We use that basis for the final AI model. So the AI would have, this knowledge base of open source models, and it can basically use that to create the model for your own use case. And there's something called few shot learning. So if you have like
a few shot, if
you have a few data set, it can do a few shot learning on top of that to adapt to your particular case. So yeah, that's what we are doing, and automating this process can save a lot of time for research and development. And this is the use case I was talking about earlier, prediction of body composition from tongue image. So doing this, we were able to get like over 90% accuracy based on the data set that we got.
Yeah.
And the customer was able to deploy in less than 30 days, which means they're saving a cost at least 60%.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of a value proposition. And these are some use cases that we are thinking that we're working with right now. Help mention for pregnancy condition from echo and ultrasound images. Also, this one prediction of brain age from MRI. So for this is meant for health checkups. So there are people that like maybe they have bad habits growing up, smoking and drinking a lot. The doctors I talked to tell me that you can actually estimate their brain age, which is different from their own chronological age.
Yeah.
So, which means that somebody might be 30 years old and their brain would have atrophied, showing that they are like 50 years old.
Yeah.
So, if you can do this prediction, you can show them that you need to change the habits, stop drinking, or changing or maybe sleeping well, all of those kind of things, for health checkup. And health checkup is a big thing in Japan, right? So you have to do it. So
It is. Yeah. I think like basically every year you have to do it if you're a company employee, at least once.
yes, I've been doing it like every year. Yeah. So the value proposition for us is that we can actually help the companies save a lot, like 10x of their costs, because they can do most of these things from a single interface.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is more like the demo, but it's just like a full a pipeline of how the product.
How things would work, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we actually already shipped this annotation tool now. We have some testers working that are already testing this. There are some things shown here.
So who is doing the annotation?
The expert is going to do the annotation.
Expert, okay.
However, we have added some features where you could actually do annotation much faster. So instead of like drawing manually, you can maybe just click a point and the AI would recognize the region and annotate it directly for you.
Okay.
And the next thing we want to do after that is you can basically type in and says, find all the instances of so and so, like the heart, the image, and it will be able to do that. And so this is the training process.
Yeah.
The AI write the code. You can change icon code.
Yeah. Nice.
And then you can deploy from here using API or directly from our interface.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, I thought this is kind of.
I see the theme. Yeah. And you guys focusing on the Japan market, right? Is that correct?
Yep. We're based in Japan right now, but actually we're getting a lot of interest from outside Japan.
Really?
Yeah. Because of course, this out of landing pages in English. It's both English and Japan, but I've been, opportunity to talk to a lot of people who are not based in Japan and they are in the setting over there. Actually, today I was talking with a doctor, a radiologist from India.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was really interested, this kind of system for doing predictions for a hospital that is like 700 beds. So imagine like the radiologists have to do that almost every day. So he can use the AI to help in the process earlier, more like the pre-diagnosis.
Yeah.
Before the radiologist now go and finalize. So we are both AI engineers that have one peculiarity about our company, and we're also working with people in other domains. But we are both just two of us, right?
Nice.
So that's basically
that's interesting. How big is this market? Just curious.
Yeah. So in Japan right now, you have about 180,000 hospitals.
Yeah.
If you're counting hospitals, and when we counted the number of companies that are in like medical device, it's about 400 in Japan. So, in terms of like the companies, it's not a big market in terms of like in Japan, like the companies. So if we have all the companies, this is not possible. But I know it will be had enough. Maybe that would be good, but of course, we cannot get all the companies. So that's why we are already thinking global from the beginning. And also, one of our plans in future is to not just be a platform that helps to develop. We would also be able to develop our own proprietary AI models, which means that we can license the AI models, directly from our platform. So this kind of opens up unlocks a new market for us, so we can sell directly to the hospitals. Now we're not doing that, but this is like a future plan, so that when we have when we have this proprietary model, maybe for abdominal CT scans or brain image prediction and all of that, we can license that directly to hospitals, and hospitals can use them. But I think for Japan, we need to build a lot of credibility first.
Yeah.
So that's why we are focusing more on, building the technology, working closely with the researchers, the doctors to, improve our platform to a point where it's able to do that. And once we're able to do that, then we can open up this new market.
I see. Yeah, makes sense. So would you would you say that your idea is quite validated yet at this part, or no?
Based on the people that we've talked to, yeah, there's a lot of interest, and I think the idea is good. There's a company in the US called Health. Okay, have this kind of the same, not exactly the same, but they kind of working in the same area. And we've seen other companies like in Australia that are also doing something similar. We have a different way we do it, but actually we see that like this firm raised a Series A of like 20 million or around $20 million dollars last year. So it's a kind of a new area because of course there is still place to grow for AI. Yeah, no. I would say that not many people are actually adopting AI right now in health, like in hospitals. Not many doctors are actually doing it because the legacy systems, in order to actually sell to the companies, to the hospitals, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
You have to go through regulatory, those.
Or because you're dealing with human life and health.
So it's going to take a long time. I give maybe 3 to 5 years to actually see AI when he used every day, like really, really used in hospital. So we are building that future from now. By the time that, Japan comes to that point where, AI is used mostly, we would they would be able to, they would know us already, would have the capability, and it will be easier for us to reach out into them. So we are working with how the market is growing.
I see.
The market is still growing.
Yeah.
And listen, as I checked, about 40% CAGR. So which is like in the next 10 years, going to triple.
It's growing. Yeah. Okay. And so, I mean, typically for any startup, right, is trying to disrupt any industry, I would say that, well, you either kind of need, I would say minimum 5x, but 10x would be better, right? So usually in one of these area, cost, time, or efficiency, which one is it that you
cost? So you caught as it, we're kind of hammering on the cost. One of the copies that we first used was like, say, 90% of the cost of AI development. So yeah, we're really working on that, the cost and the efficiency side of it. So if you can, for example, if you can collapse, a research activity that is like takes like 6 months, collapse it to like a week or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Imagine how much you can do if you have that same resource. It doesn't mean that you spend more money. It's the same amount of money you had before, but now you can do times 3, times 4, times 5 of that same thing. So which means that you can iterate faster.
Yeah.
You can, get even better AI models, So that is what we're trying to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And right now, how are those medical devices company tackling this problem? Are they probably not even using AI, right?
Yeah. So a lot of medical devices, they are interested in, using AI, but most of them is still like in the early stage. They're still just exploring, right? So like last year in Japan, the POC, like amount of money that that companies spend on POC in Japan.
Yeah, number 3 concept.
Yeah. POC is like, we just want to test. We don't want to do anything serious. Let's just test and see if this thing works. About $90 million in Japan last year. Okay, healthcare related AI services. So which means that a lot of companies are really trying to do this, but they still have to go through, the regulatory process as everybody. There's still a trust problem.
Yeah.
Whether they trust or not. So yeah.
Yeah. So in Japan, right? And you think you were saying like there's 400 companies, right? How are they solving this problem at the moment?
Yeah. So that's why I said like our competition now is the consulting, like developer consulting company.
Yeah.
Because if any company wants to do a POC now, you will look for a development consultant company to outsource it. And of course, actually, these companies make a lot of money. Now, I know a company who is doing like a cancer testing.
Yeah.
And they did a POC, 3 months POC for 10 million yen. And still even the outcome was not good. Now. So this is what I would say. This is like not the kind of competitors you would put on a slide, but these are real competitors, right? Because those are the companies that the companies here will first go to.
Yeah.
But in terms of other companies that are doing the same thing as us. There are some companies that are like actually using AI to create specific solutions in terms of like maybe cancer or CT scan or MRIs. So those will be our like they're kind of more niche in a way than us, and they're not doing any automation in any way. But we are kind of on the automation layer of the process. So we should be able to do all those things without technology, and also
Nice. So then your business model, I mean, the ideal business model, I suppose, would be
it's SaaS based.
right?
Our platform is going to be subscription based.
Yeah.
Which poses another problem in Japan because companies don't want to share their data. For example, medical data.
Okay.
It's something that you have to really be careful about.
That's true. Yeah. That's like private PII, right?
Exactly.
Personal identified.
So other ways that companies work is, okay, we want to have our own private cloud or on premise.
Yeah.
So these are the things that we would be able to do for them. So we can basically install a system where they would have in their own environment, and they can do whatever they want with it. And of course, we can still have our subscription, maybe yen-based subscription in this case, so that we can keep updating, improving the product as time goes. Some companies kind of starting to get open to having like data on cloud. Yeah, so we're navigating that right now. See how it goes.
I see. Interesting. Yeah, I think there's a lot of direction. So what are some of the upcoming roadmaps you have for
Yes, your company? So we're still working on the first version of the product. We have the data annotation already working. So we already onboarded some users to test the data annotation and improve it. And
when you say user, are you talking about like doctors?
No, this is a companies.
Okay.
Data collection from Cancer Center, National Cancer Center in Chiba and other places. So they collect surgery data like videos, images, and they collect it, warehouse it, and sell it to companies who wants to develop AI models for them.
Yeah.
So this company is our first casting company. Cool. So they do a lot of annotation.
Yeah.
Because when they collect the data and they try to sell it to a company, the company will say, can you annotate this data for us?
Yeah.
So they have to do annotation. So we're kind of coming in there to help them with the annotation. So that's one company that we're working with. And other companies. So we are now already onboarded people for annotation, but we want to move them past that to, now you have the data on our platform. You can treat this model that can do this, and you don't even have to do anything. Just at the bottom, and now they can do it. So that's where we're going. Maybe in the next few months we'll be able to do that.
I see.
At least ship that. We are already testing internally, but we'll be able to ship that to the clients.
Yeah. I feel like for AI in general, AI model, I feel like the data is kind of really a huge differentiator. Right. Also like comparative advantage, right? Whoever hold a lot of data because,
and depending medical industry, I'm just realizing right now the data can be really huge.
It is huge, yeah. So probably talking about like terabyte easily.
Yeah, exactly. So like recently we were trying to get data from one client that we're working with. 70 patients.
Yeah.
Of about 40,000 cases, 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
Just image.
Right, huge image and video.
Right.
Yeah.
So imagine if you want to scale that up to like a whole set of people, like 100 patients, or even hundreds of thousands. So it can be really. So part of the challenges that we're facing is actually how do we manage the data.
Yeah.
So it turns out that maybe part of the problem is not just that we want to put data in cloud. Actually, moving the data is a big problem, right?
It is huge, yeah.
Yeah. So for us to get this data, the person has to travel to our office to hand over like
PII.
This is the hard disk for this data.
Yeah.
So we couldn't do it efficiently, at least at the stage we are right now, over on cloud. So those are the things that we're dealing with.
I see.
Yeah.
And any other particular challenge you guys face?
Yeah, and of course, like I also realized that apart from the AI side, and this one kind of running joke, everybody can develop AI on on their laptop, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to like deploy your other people using it, then you begin to see.
Oh, then in deployment, in production, yeah.
So it turns out that having an application that does just CRUD, like creates all of those normal CRUD applications is very easy. But when you start talking about like AI ML ops,
Yeah.
that's really hard. That you start dealing with really really hard problems.
Yeah, I think you need like a expert in that, right?
So you start, of course, you can deal with the normal user data. Well, what if a user wants to create a model that's big? So how do you, fire up like a GPU backend to do it for you effectively in a way that it looks like magic to the user? This is what we are going for, right? So
Yeah.
we want the person to click a button and the AI starts training almost immediately, and they can see the progress as time is going on, and they can know when to expect the result. And so, in order to do this really effectively, you realize that you need to have the normal backend, the GPU backend, your MLOps to be very good. You have to be able to talk, kind of duplex communication between your app and the GPU and both. So it's kind of a technical challenge that we actually face.
I see. Yeah, a lot of challenge, but I think that's a fun of entrepreneurship. Yeah, awesome. Cool. Yeah, just two more questions before we close out the show. Well, since you've been building, tinkering, and in the line of entrepreneurship for some time, you have any advice for people who want to build their own companies?
Man, just start. Just get started. So I think building a company is, for me, is more like not just being satisfied with the status quo. If you're in a place where you're just not satisfied with what you have right now, or certain problem, then it means that you have to do something about it. And yeah, for me, building the company is a way to address that status quo. If you have that, just go ahead and do it. Yeah,
Cool.
it's not gonna be easy, but
Yeah, I think you have to come up with an idea first, right? Yeah, then maybe
yeah,
and then figure whether do it solo or do it with a founder, right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But would you recommend Antler Japan from your experience?
Sure, I will. And I would say this. I say this to many people that if you are a solo founder and you're trying to build a company, just go. I mean, if you can get accepted into Antler, it's a very good chance for you to be in that situation, in that environment where you're constrained by time.
Yeah.
And you're also constrained to find somebody to work with.
Yeah.
If you're in a normal environment where you're just testing to know people, you get to know before, the commitment might not come, to find somebody who would be willing to work with you. Or if in that environment, like in 6 weeks, you need to find somebody. If it's going to work, If it's not going to work, then So I would say it's one of the best places that you can be to do that.
Exciting. Wow. Thank you. And final question. Where can people follow you and your company if you did?
Yeah, you have a search for modastera.com, modastera.com. And you can search for my name on LinkedIn. I think these days I'm more active on LinkedIn because I'm trying to promote the company. So
I see. Yeah. Well, LinkedIn sounds very official too. For sure. When they were too. But yeah. Cool. Awesome. I'll make sure to leave the links here in the show notes so that people can follow you and your company.
Yeah.
Joshua, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show today.
So much. There's so many things to talk about, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I wish you the best of luck going forward with your company. Thank you so much. And we're back to my studio. It has been a few days since my in-person recording with Joshua at the in-person studio, and his team is already making a splash. They have gone on and secured funding from Antler Japan Cohort 3, along with winning the pitch contest at Tech of Tokyo 2025. Did you enjoy this episode or the in-person format? Let us know in the comment below. For the next episode, we'll be coming back to the Web3 world to talk to Key Jeffries. He's a technical co-founder of Session. Session is an end-to-end encrypted messenger that minimizes sensitive metadata designed and built for people who want absolute privacy and freedom from any form of surveillance. If you enjoyed this episode, please give a like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. Thank you for watching and see you next time.